welcome to the Free Kick Podcast. My name is Todd, and I did not expect to do this podcast. This is not what I think anybody had on their mind Wednesday morning when Tom Bogert of Give Me Sport reported first that the Philadelphia Union and Columbus Crew were in agreement to sell or trade Dániel Gazdag to the Columbus Crew. And because of that, it's emergency podcast time. And joining me, it's been a minute, is José Nuñez. Jose, thank you for joining me. And this is a very special podcast. And the people are flooding in, watching this live a minute in. How are you doing?
I'm okay. I got you on this screen on my MacBook. I have the Braves-Phillies game with a pitching change. So, something's happening despite having Alec Boehm at bat at one point. So things are moving over here. And you're absolutely right. I did not expect to be doing this on a Wednesday night, but I am happy to be doing this on a Wednesday night and maybe provide a little bit more context as I've talked to some people behind the scenes with knowledge of the trade and sort of how it developed. So it is a very interesting Wednesday night for all of us.
Yeah, it is. And I'm looking at these comments, dude. Absolutely getting blasted for starting the show 2 minutes late. It's 9:02, Todd. That's from Ricky. Philly Eric says late. Then we have Ricky also chiming in saying the audio choppy for anyone else. And yeah, let me go ahead and address that. Because of the way that I do the intro for the show, I don't know what happens. Like, I just play it through my recording device, and it sounds all choppy in StreamYard. And I guess it's a good thing I haven't got an intro made yet with Dániel Gazdag getting traded. And I know I still have like a Julian Kranza clip in there and everything, but when I was going to get that made, I was going to add a Ty Barriero, Bruno Damiani, and a Dániel Gazdag goal clip. Well, I guess Gazdag doesn't matter anymore since he's no longer here. So that is the reason that the intro is choppy, Ricky. But everything else should be good. But yeah, everybody's super happy here. Emergency pod, Hoagie, emergency podcast, and like you said, Jose, it is it's good to be doing a podcast. Good to have you back on the show, and we're up to 142 people, and it's still going up, and we're 3 minutes into this, so we will probably break our all-time live views record by the end of the show. And by the way, Jose and I are leaving this up to you guys. If you guys want to come in here with questions for Jose and I, hit us up on Twitter. I think your name is Jose R. Nuñez 91. Yeah, 91, yeah. Or you can hit me up at It's a Todd's Life or at Free Kick Pod, and we'll send you guys the live link on StreamYard. You guys don't have to have your camera on if you guys want to ask questions. Just ask a question and then get out, and we'll go to the next. But if that's something anybody who's listening live wants to do, hit us up on Twitter. But Jose, enough of the back end stuff. Philadelphia Union trading Dániel Gazdag to Columbus Crew. Gazdag made $1.75 million last year, according to the MLSPA, was in the final year of his contract this season with the Union, had a team option for 2026, was the club's leading goal scorer, 72 goals, 24 assists, and 161 appearances, totaling 12,999 minutes. Yes, a minute shy of hitting 13K, was the club's leading goal scorer in MLS and overall. And so when you look at this from an overall perspective, it's kind of harsh to take in that, wow, the Philadelphia Union are trading a all-time leading goal scorer. Dániel Gazdag has been nothing but a goal-scoring threat since he's been here back in 2020, I believe it was. And this is nothing unusual for Philadelphia Union because they did the same thing to Sebastian de la Tour years ago when they traded him to New York Red Bulls. So I think Philadelphia Union fans should be a little bit used to this, but I think now where MLS is in the modern age, and this fan base is a lot of newer fans. And so a lot of them may not remember that trade years ago between the Union and New York Red Bulls. And this is just brand new for everybody. But looking at it, makes a lot of sense why the Union traded Dániel Gazdag. We'll get into that again. If you guys have questions for us, leave us those questions in the comments on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, or you guys can ask for the link, or we'll bring you guys into the live show. But Jose, enough of that. Your thoughts, I guess, overall when the news broke that Dániel Gazdag was being traded between Philadelphia and Columbus.
Um, by the way, when Todd says hit us up, like send us a message on Twitter or even here on the chat. We can see the chat. Just let us know. And Todd, I'm sure you'll keep an eye on it, star it perhaps, and I can just start peppering people with them. You don't have to have your camera on. You can just have voice. And frankly, all we're asking is just a question or a thought. And then we're going to continue just to try to give as many people the ability to jump in. I think we're trying something different. So just bear with us as we work through it. Our pod, the Free Kick Pod, works through it. My overall thoughts. I thought that Dániel was somewhat untouchable. I must admit, in terms of where he stood within the roster and where he how much he has done for the club in a way too. I did not expect that it would be I didn't think he would be one to move like that, especially with the year option. I would have thought that maybe there was an extension actually in the way coming. I don't know anything, but I would have honestly believed if you told me today that he had a 3-year extension with an option for a 4th, I would have totally believed you, just because of what he's done for the team over the years. But stepping aside and thinking of the business side, I'm sure I've heard a number of what the fee was. I personally am very happy with that fee number if it is true. I don't know that I'm at liberty to share it, but I know I'm happy if that is that number. You also got to remember, it could have been a Jack Elliott situation all over again in terms of having a player walk away on a free, because the contract situation was the exact same last year of a contract with a club year option to boot. You're probably not going to have a player against his will with, saying, nope, you're going to play out your last contract year as a club option. No one really wins. And I think the biggest issue is not that he was sold. It's that he was sold to where he was sold to, right? It's the location where he's landing. That's the biggest issue. I don't think it's the business. I don't think it's the personnel. I'm fairly certain that Ernst and company are probably ready with a list of players that they want to potentially tackle and try to bring in. It's a tight window. If they were to try to do it by the 23rd, that's just 2 weeks away. Is it impossible? No. We know that sometimes these things take time, but sometimes they move very, very fast. Think about Bruno Damiani coming to the Union. But the most important part is that they need to get the replacement right. Should there be a replacement? I'm fairly certain that there will be a replacement. They just need to hit on it, and that replacement needs to do fairly well right away. So those are my initial thoughts, and we can dig deeper onto what we think. But I guess maybe I'll flip it over to you. What do you think?
Man, I think you're actually the one who called me while I was working, because some of us can't be as tech savvy and up to date as José Nuñez, and I appreciate the updates, Jose, and everybody who the comment chart. Can you see that, Jose? I mean, they're absolutely flying in here. All the comments on Twitter and YouTube. It's crazy. So I thank you guys for your comments, and we'll try to get to as much as we can, but we knew this would be a pretty busy, hot topic episode. But my initial thoughts were, I'm not totally shocked, because I remember you and I talked where I said, well, he's 29 years old. I do believe this is the last year of his contract. There's a contract, a club option for 2026. And then when you factor in how much he was making, $1.75 million, second highest on the team, I started to think that, okay, well, the Union probably aren't going to want to lose Dániel Gazdag on a free. He has a $10 million market value on transfer market. And because of that, I'm like, okay, the Union don't want to go through another Leon Flock, Jack Elliott situation. And so I was like, I want to know what this number is. Whatever the Union get is good. And hopefully tomorrow the club announces officially either Columbus or Philadelphia, and we get an official announcement for how much the Union we're getting. We got that announcement for Jack Elliott, which was $2.1 million, $2 million up front, and then a huge sell-on clause and a whole bunch of incentives. So hopefully the club comes out and does good transparency with the media, with the fans. But I think looking at Daniel Gazdag, I think it's been apparent, and I think Mandy had a comment on here where she said she hadn't been impressed by Daniel Gazdag the last two-ish seasons, and just watching 6 games in that Daniel Gazdig's played in this new 4-2-2-2 formation with Bradley Cornell, I think it was apparent that he didn't really fit the formation. And I believe I said this on AAT Sports Across the Pitch last episode or sometime when we've done the post-game shares, where it's been really apparent just watching. You have Daniel Gazdag playing as one of the 210s, and both of those guys seem to be situated more so out wide, and that doesn't really fit Daniel Gazdig's style of play. He's a player that likes to make those late runs into the box. He likes to be in the center of the field. He's not really a traditional number 10 creating midfielder, but when you play him out wide, he doesn't really fit what Bradley Cornell wants to do. And to his credit, 2 goals, 2 assists, not terrible numbers in 499 minutes played this season. But I do think that Bradley Cornell probably would want somebody in the Quinn Sullivan mode. If you can get another Quinn Sullivan type on the right side of the field, then I think that, that would make this system even better. And one of the comments on here asked, do I think that the Union will switch, or do we think that the Union will switch to the 4-4-2 diamond now? Absolutely not. They're not changing formations. Bradley Cornell made that clear that we are sticking. He said that at the beginning of the season. We're playing the 4-2-2 formation, or if we need to, we'll switch to a 4-2-3-1 at times. And he even said with switching to the 4-2-3-1 that was essentially a 4-2-2 too. It doesn't look that much different. We saw the 4-2-3-1 last game late on when the Union tried to push for a game-winning goal against Orlando City. It didn't come about. But yeah, all in all, I mean, I'm not too surprised when you consider the age of Daniel Gazdag, how much money he was on last year, and how the Union had lost a couple guys on free. Julian Kranza too, I think, is probably the biggest one where, yeah, the Union debating, did we let him go? Did we keep him? Did we keep him? Did we let him go? And they wound up letting him go on a free to Feyenoord, and look what he's doing with them in the Netherlands, scoring a game-winning goal against AC Milan in the Champions League a few months ago. And I think, all in all, this is probably the best move to get something now for Daniel Gazdag instead of losing him on a free.
Yeah, and I think that's mainly it. I'm not gonna. How can I say? I don't want to get myself in trouble because I know people listen and they did not. Well, I cannot imagine that it did not cross their thoughts of losing him into a free. That had to be such a red flag right away, especially. And Todd, you were a producer on the night when we spoke with Tesho and gosh, who else was with us that night?
Akugo, Amobi.
Yeah, Amobi. We spoke about the trials and tribulation of being a professional player and contracts, and the reality is, and I think it was Tesho who voiced it best, was like, as soon as you sign your contract, you're already thinking, and your agent's already working towards the next one and building the case for the next one. And my guess is that these negotiations with Daniel did not just start and end over the last 2 weeks. My guess is that it was ongoing. And I had heard, and I know that I can share this, but I had heard that the figure that Daniel was potentially looking at for his own salary was probably closer to $3 million. That is such a wage disruptor for that team. That I again, is that. And you got to give credit. I got to give credit to Kevin Kincaid, who I want to say, is it voiced it or typed it, however you want to say it, but said it so well of like, you can hate the move all you want, but you can't hate the fact that Ernst Tanner and company, because this is the Ernst Tanner team now, is sticking to what they want to do. They want to continue to revolve this roster. They want to turn it over to what they want. That they're sticking to it. And if you're going to go off of any of the purchases that they've made, any of the transfers that they've made this year, and I know it's like short-term memory there to say that. What a catch by the ball boy at the Braves game, by the way. Lukic, absolute hit. Glavinovic, from what we saw, absolute hit. Indy Vasilev, from what we have seen so far, seems to fit the mold, right?
Danley Jean-Jacques.
absolute hit. So if you're thinking about those immediate hits over the past 8 months, whatever, maybe you trust the man and his team in terms of those that are with him in the scouting department, going out and seeing these players, evaluating his network of scouts, etc. To maybe, even if they don't use whatever the figure is, and the figure I think it is, and I think I saw Jonathan in here. I believe that is also true, Jonathan, in terms of the figure. I believe it does need to be disclosed, much like if if there's GAM involved in a trade for an international spot, all those things need to be shared out with the public. I'm guessing, I think Jonathan, you were the one who reported today at practice. He wasn't there today, so obviously, like, it's happening. So, I don't know. Even if they're not spending the figure, like, have some hope, right? And I know that's easier said than done for fans, but nonetheless, it is what it is.
All right, so there was a question at the beginning of the show from Matt. He says, how do you foresee Cornell handling questions from the media during the press conference this week? Will he be defensive and get pissy? Well, Jonathan Tannenwald's here. Hi, Jonathan. Thank you for tuning in. And I think all three of us can admit that, Bradley Cornell is not the most answer-friendly guy for questions during press conferences. And I would fully expect Cornell to not give much when he fields questions. And let's not forget, too, that Jan Glavinovic tore his meniscus against Orlando City. And so he's going to have to field questions about Jan and Dániel Gazdag. And I'm sure there probably will be other people showing up for this press conference tomorrow from MLS, and people from MLS like yourself, Jose, are going to want to get questions, because I'm sure there's going to be an article going out at some point on MLSsoccer.com. But yeah, I wouldn't expect too much from Bradley Cornell answer-wise at his press conference, just because it's so hard to get him to open up. And we talked about this before, Jose, where we were so spoiled with Jim Curtin, and you and I are always talking about this too on the phone. He would go on these tangents and these long-winded answers, which we appreciated. They were great sound bites, but it's the complete opposite with Bradley Cornell. So for fans that are hoping that Bradley Cornell has a lot to say, a lot of great answers to shed light on, I would not hold your breath. But again, thank you everybody who's coming in live with questions or just comments on the show. Again, if you guys want to be a part of the show, ask Jose and I a question live. You guys can go ahead and hit us up on Twitter at Jose R. Nuñez 91 or at It's a Todd's Life or at Free Kick Pod, and we'll give you the link to join the show and ask a question live. So many comments coming in. I appreciate you guys for these questions. But I do want to talk about, the MLS cash for trade. And Jose, feel free to take this conversation wherever you want. Just looking at some of the numbers, we saw Jack McGlynn get traded from Philadelphia to Houston for $2 million plus incentives, plus that sell-on clause. Then you see Jovan Lukic. You see,
whoa, breaking news.
Yeah, right. Like, oh my God, they just sold Dániel Gazdag and now Lukic is gone. Jovic from LA Galaxy to Sporting KC for $4 million. Lucho went from $5 million plus $1 million in incentives from Cincinnati to Dallas. And then Evander went from Portland to Cincinnati for $12 million. And now Dániel Gazdag becomes the latest player again. Like Jonathan Tannenwald, like Jose had said, since that was a cash for trade, the knowledge has to be public, and we'll hopefully get that announced tomorrow at the press conference, and hopefully the union have a press release ready to go first thing tomorrow morning, so everybody can get those answers. But Jose, looking at those four players that I just mentioned, you can see it down at the little slide bar, all the players that have been traded for this initiative. If you had a guess, it's definitely not Evander, $12 million. Nobody would expect that, I would say, right?
No, I don't think so. I personally, I don't know. I think it was Andrew Wiebe who sort of posted the make your guess type of thing. Hi, Mrs. McGlynn. I wonder if it's somewhere like it has to be more than Jack. I would think. but do you value him more than an MLS winning striker who put up 20 plus either goals or goals plus assists? I'm not sure. Maybe I can't imagine that you rely for someone like Dániel Gazdag on a sell-on clause. It just doesn't make sense considering his age. Again, I could be wrong. My guess is it's probably a guaranteed, just flat out fee. I would probably lean closer. I mean, I'm not going to guess because I don't want to guess the figure I heard and get myself in trouble. So maybe I'll leave it to you, Todd.
Yeah, no, a number that stands out to me is I would say anywhere between 2.5 to $3 million. I think would be a fair assessment for Daniel Gazdag. Just knowing the age and how many years he has left on that contract, with this being the final year, and then having the option for 2026. So I mean, I would be shocked if the Union get anything more. And if the Union do get anything more, I mean, that's fantastic business. So regardless, getting something for Daniel Gazdag is better than letting him go on free. Ricky has joined the show. Ricky, thank you for joining Jose and I. And I guess go ahead, get your thoughts out and ask away. Gotta unmute you, I guess. No?
Gotta unmute myself too, right? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Is this sounding? I was just a lot of text today from Mike Thomas. A lot of text today to Todd and Ed Fagan, of course.
Well, to be fair, Mike Thomas is in the comment section, so hopefully he asked for an invite into this. This would be.
Oh,
a good
he
discussion.
did. I assumed this would be like his time to come on and just vent, because he was there was a lot of venting going on. There was a lot of which just seemed like most of the off season. There was a lot of like texts and Twitter feeds about like everybody just being like, what is going on? What are they doing? And I think I said something to you, Todd, earlier about like a lot of us feel like we have relationships with these players, so it's especially hard. So like Gazdag's been here for like 3 to 4 years, so we're all just kind of like, why would we get rid of such a like the leading scorer in team history just out of the blue on like a Wednesday morning? We're just all hearing about this, so it was a little bit odd. But like I was kind of sitting at work, just sitting there like, I get it, right? And I think we all sort of get the move. He's probably not going to be more valuable to get rid of. Not saying that we're trying to get rid of him, but like it makes sense to a certain extent. We keep talking about playing these young players, and we just in the offseason we re-signed Jeremy Raffanello, who's been on the bench twice this season. Once due to the fact that we didn't have a bunch of players the first 2 weeks of the season, and then we had 8 guys not here for the game against St. Louis. And then he's the first guy on the field off the bench, and we just re-signed him. So clearly Ernst believes in him, right? But he can't even make the bench. And then I'm just going to assume here we're not re-signing Gazdag. Somebody comes along like, hey, we know you guys are having a weird contract situation. We need a player, and everybody knows Columbus has been looking for somebody. Like, it just feels like they probably got to the end of the window and were like, here's $1 million more than we were originally going to offer you. And then Ernst is probably like, I can have Indiana Vasilev get more minutes. I can have Raffanello and the younger Sullivan get more minutes. And that's not a terrible trade-off, especially as you mentioned earlier. I don't think Gazdag quite fits as much as he used to. And I think we've seen this if you look at the Red Bull teams over the last few years, especially in Leipzig, where as the team has gone up the table and become more and more of a competitive team, and the players that they're able to get in want less and less to play the Red Bull style. And we saw that over the years with Jim. He had better and better players. They wanted less of the Red Bull style. And now after 4 years of slowly rotating more and more away from the Red Bull style, we've come back and gone all out Red Bull, and Gazdag's sitting there like, I'm the best player you've ever had. Essentially, I want more money. This is my last big contract. And Ernst has shown that he does not care about your feelings. And I think he's making that even more evident he got rid of Jack Elliott, who was here for over a decade, basically. And now he's getting rid of a player that scored more goals than anybody else and more goals than the most beloved player in franchise history.
Good, Jose. Thoughts?
No, thanks, Ricky. Thank you so much for jumping on. I know we're going to have some other faces popping on, but I think it's obvious, right? I as you mentioned, Ricky, Ernst is Ernst, right? Like he will negotiate hard. I've been told from people across the league that like he has a number in his mind and that's where he's going to stick with. And if he doesn't get it, he doesn't flinch. So for what it's worth, like that's good. I mean, again, that's what I'm told. I've never talked to the man one-on-one personally. I would love to pick his brain for 25, 30 minutes. Don't know that I would get much out of him, but I know I would enjoy the heck out of it. I don't know if you have any thoughts, Ricky. Again, thank you so much for jumping on.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing that Ricky touched on there that I think is very important is just looking at the history that Ernst Tanner has, right? Ricky talked about Jack Elliott. Jack Elliott's a fine example of that, where, Ernst Tanner said at the end of the season press conference that they had offered a contract to Jack Elliott. He had an option for the 2025 season. The Union didn't want to take that up. And the Union wind up letting him leave in free agency. And I'll be curious to see how much Chicago Fire signed him to. I would imagine probably over $1 million. But again, we won't know those figures until the MLSPA releases that until I would imagine the end of April or first couple of weeks of May. You look at Kasper Schmeichel getting traded from Philadelphia Union to Chicago Fire. The Union sold high on Kasper Schmeichel after he was coming off a good season with the Union. Jamiro Montero jumps off the top of my head when the Union traded him to San Jose Earthquakes. And it just seems like Ernst Tanner knows exactly when to sell these players, when it's time to move on from these players. And I get it, right? Fans are upset. These are fan favorites that Ernst Tanner moves on from. But at the end of the day, right, it's a business. And I'm constantly reminded just how quickly the sports world works, because we were just at the stadium on Saturday seeing Dániel Gazdag in the locker room area, saw his family walking around and watching fireworks. And now here we are Wednesday talking about Dániel Gazdag being traded from Philadelphia Union to Columbus Crew. And I think that's why I tell people all the time, yeah, I would be hesitant buying a player's name on the back of the jersey just because how fast and how quickly players move around from leagues. But I get it, if it's a club legend like Alejandro Bedoya or an El Sino, I understand why fans get jerseys like that, or an Andre Blake. But more times than not, it's just a constant revolving door. And how many times did we talk about, Jose, that it was probably time to break up this squad back in 2023. Yes, fans wanted the Union to run it back after 2022. The Union run it back, but after 2023, that should have been it. And then they go out and run it back again. And then we see in the summertime, Julian Kranza gone, Jose Martinez gone, Damian Lowe gone. They're getting rid of key players, and that's continuing to happen. And I'm not shocked that this is happening because it was due. And I'm sure the Union got a very good offer from Columbus Crew that was tempting. And they wind up selling him to Columbus Crew. Again, don't have the reported numbers. We'll wait for the Union to come out and officially say that. But I think if the Union come out and get anywhere between $2.5 million to $3 million, that's an excellent deal for a player that was in the final year of his contract. Yes, he had an option for 2026. But again, at 29 years old, a player who I don't really think fit this system all that well, I don't think this is a bad move by Ernst Tanner. And a lot of people too give Ernst Tanner a lot of crap and say they don't have trust in him anymore. But look at, you had talked about Danley, Jovan, Ian, and time again, he's proving that he knows how to scout players, that the people in the front office, they know how to scout players and bring in players that want to play the style of soccer that they want to play. Go ahead, Jose.
Just want to clarify and get you on the record for everybody watching. What's the number right now, by the way?
I would say it would be good anywhere between $2.5 to $3 million.
Okay.
I would say that's acceptable.
Okay. Fantastic.
Anything else?
People are watching right now?
548.
Okay. 548 souls. Just heard you say that.
That $2.5 million to $3 million is a acceptable offer for Dániel Gazdag. Yep. Yeah. I think that's good.
Okay, good. Got it.
Now you're going to clip this and then post it when so off base, right?
It would be so out of context. But no, listen, I carry on. I just want to make sure to get that on the record. I think it's an interesting guess. But just want to get you on the record. That's good.
That's cool. I want to pull up a comment here from
Yeah.
Mike a while ago. He had said, just don't resign him, play out the contract, let Dániel Gazdag leave on a free, get 2 more years of production. And, I understand that. But at the same time, you're in the business of making money. And I'm assuming the Phillies did something, but fans don't want to hear that, right? That you should be all in going for it. But at the same time, right? It's like, I think Ernst Tenner has enough of a proven track record that, like I said, he knows how to scout players. Look at what Danley and Jovan are doing in the midfield. And, you got to imagine that Ernst Tenner probably has a short list. I don't imagine that they would sell Dániel Gazdag without having a backup plan. I guess right now the backup plan is play Indiana Vassilev as the second number 10, and then Kevin Sullivan's probably going to play more extended minutes. But the transfer window doesn't close until April 23rd. So I would imagine that the Union have players that they're potentially interested in, and we'll see if they get something done by April 23rd. But just thoughts on, potentially the Union should have let Dániel Gazdag leave on a free. Don't take the trade to Columbus Crew.
I sound like such a businessman and saying this, but like letting any player walk on a free feels like bad business unless it's a club legend per se. And you could argue that Dániel is a club legend for everything that he has accomplished, etc. But you also have to remember this is a 15-year-old club. Like history is, I mean, it's very short so far. The way I see it is whatever the fee is, if it's what I think it is, fantastic. If it's what anybody thinks it is that they're happy with, fantastic. But getting a fee for him plus getting the salary space back, I think it's a good move, especially for someone who maybe is not even like remotely interested in negotiating down from his whatever the salary was that he was going after, plus the designated player spot, right? Maybe this is a shift to do the 2 DP and 4 young DPs, right? Maybe that's what they're going after, and in terms of getting another young DP that could be an investment, a project per se. That's where I stand on it all. But I know that's not the popular take. That's just me thinking like a bean counter per se. But ultimately, and I think Ernst has said it out loud. I'm fairly certain he said it out loud. I think it was the town hall. Like the reality is that unless you're one of the big 6 in England, the big 2 in Spain, or the big, I guess you could argue 1, and Jonathan, you'll love it. But unless you're PSG out in France, like if you're not one of them, you are a selling club, whether you like it or not. And that's just the reality of it. Again, I think the issue is that he's going where he's going. I think again, that's the biggest issue. A team that beat the Union 3 times. And mind you, the only 3 times that Dániel Gazdag lost to the Columbus Crew were last year in that really odd succession of MLS, Leagues Cup, and then MLS again, all within, I guess, a month and change. It's the location's the toughest part. And Taylor Twellman said as much on Twitter too when I was chatting with him. Like it's the location that he's going to outweighs whatever the figure is that the Union are getting for him.
Mark asks, is Twellman joining?
The invite was out, man. He was invited. Message with him.
He was invited. Like Jonathan says here, every team is a selling team. Yeah, and I don't understand why like this fan base feels that's a bad thing. MLS should be embracing being a selling league. You and I have talked about, Jose, that the way the Union should, if we were running this, would go all in with the 2 DPs and 4 U22 players, buy young and then sell high. And we saw Inter Miami do so well with that, with selling Gomez to to Brighton. And, not those moves aren't always going to hit, but I feel like the risk is so much greater than investing in a player that's in his prime where you don't have that potential sell on. And again, fans don't want to hear that, yeah, you shouldn't be thinking about making money, but every team's thinking about making money, right? Nothing's guaranteed. And no matter what club it is, they're in the business of selling players. And if you have a good scouting department, like I believe the Philadelphia Union have, then there's no reason for me to think that, okay, the Union can't go out there and find another Dániel Gazdag. Because let's face it, how many people in this fan base knew who Dániel Gazdag was prior to him coming to the Philadelphia Union? And the same can be said about so many players. And so I have the utmost confidence that the Union will be able to replace Dániel Gazdag. And that's harsh to say, right? To replace 72 goals scored since 2021. But at the same time, how many people were sitting here saying, what can the Union do to replace Julian Kranza? And I know Bruno Damiani only has 1 goal for the Union, but I do believe that that's going to work out for the Union. Give him time. Look at all the chances that he's getting in. Yeah, he's been a little bit unfortunate not finding the back of the net, but I think Damiani is going to work out for the Union. But staying with this topic of, the Union getting rid of Dániel Gazdag, that opens up a DP spot. The Union, if they want, have the option to go 2 DPs for U22s in the summer. And that opens up so many possibilities, because if the Union go that route, they get a extra $2 million, I believe it is, right, Jose and Gam? But that game has to be used by the end of that season. So it's not like they can carry on that money, I believe.
I believe so.
Jonathan Tannenwald can correct us in the comment if we're wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's how it works.
I'm pretty sure too. I haven't looked at that today. I was so busy with work and then the consulting work I'm doing.
Yeah, you're good. Kyle asked here, he says, you got to let players go. If you want to bring in new blood, it happens. Yes, it's unfortunate. It's Gazdag, but it frees up a DP spot as well. Let it play out. And look, this is the most we've had watching the live show up at 614 right now, Jose. And maybe this is the first time people have ever checked out us talking on the podcast. But you and I are in agreement that the way that the Union should approach things is go 2 DPs for U22s, because the risk is so great, or the reward is so great going the U22 route.
Yeah, I mean, I joked with so many people behind the scenes today that I was texting with. It's like, man, if the Union could just go and what's that? Have you ever watched the British show, the Mr. Bean guy, the character from the British television?
Yeah, I know what you.
There's that one meme where he's just like looking and copying the homework of the person next to them. Like, if the Union can be Mr. Bean and copying the homework of Inter Miami and like seeing who they're going after in terms of like young South Americans or just really any young player that they try to go after, like, man, like I would absolutely love that. In fact, I had always, and this from our conversations behind the scenes, like I've always been a proponent of like, go and continue to dig in these markets. Like, I'm sure there's still a ton of talent in Venezuela. I'm sure that there's a ton of Argentines, Colombians, etc. And gosh, I'm even more a believer now that Lukic has been such a hit this year. Like, go and dig in there. Who does Lukic know that could be a contact in terms of a scouting network down there of players that are up and coming that could be all-stars like him? Granted, it's a small sample of 7 games, but I have no reason to believe that Lukic will not continue to be as good as he is, right? So, or go and find me some more French players, the way that they did. Haitian, but in the French league in terms of Jean-Jacques. So like, I know, again, that's easier said than done, but like, I do believe that they should push for the under 22 sort of roster construction and take a page out of Miami's book. They seem to be hitting on them left and right.
So Ben has a good question. I'm going to keep you on the spot here, Jose. But Ben asks, Jose and Todd, what are your thoughts about the Union possibly trading for a guy like Caden Clark as a short-term replacement before the summer? Clark obviously came through the Red Bull system and is on a struggling Montreal team. And don't forget, Bradley Cornell is the one who gave Caden Clark his debut in New York. So, that's a name that I didn't really think of. And could it be intriguing? Possibly. Wouldn't cost you an international spot, which, let's not forget, the Union don't have any open international roster slot because Dániel Gazdag had a green card, so he didn't take up a slot. So if the Union were to go out and get an international player, they would have to make a trade to get a slot. But Caden Clark, Would you mind that move for the Union?
Short term, I think that would be totally fine. I mean, he's a guy who has bounced around and seems to have found his spot now and doing okay. I must admit, I don't
Still
think I've
only
written about
21 years old.
still 21. Okay, I haven't written tie game. I haven't written about his team yet this year. I don't believe so. I don't know. I would be okay with it. I guess yeah, it would be totally fine. I just 2-3 years tops, and then figure it out, or I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's a good question, and that's why I appreciate the questions putting us on spot. I mean, if the number was right, I wouldn't hate it, but then my question would be, okay, you don't really want Caden taking minutes away from Kevin Sullivan. And I saw some fans on social media say, well, the Union are only trading Dániel Gazdag because that means that they feel that Kevin Sullivan's ready, and Kevin's going to take the minutes away from now that Dániel Gazdag's gone. And I don't think that's the case. I think Indy Vasilev would be that player that slots in next as the next number 10. Jeremy Raffanello maybe gets added to the bench more often. I think Kevin does start to play a little bit more minutes for the Union, but yeah, I don't agree with the fans on social media that are saying, yeah, it's going to be Kevin Sullivan now playing week in, week out. I mean, he'll make more minutes, I would imagine. And then you also have David Vasquez and CJ Olney too, but I don't know. I like I said 15 minutes, 20 minutes ago, I don't believe the Union would have sold or traded Dániel Gazdag without having a potential replacement lined up. But yeah, I mean, I'd go ahead and see a potential Caden Clark. Sure, I mean, it's probably going to take away minutes from Kevin Sullivan, which I don't think the Union would really want that. Jonathan did say that yes, they can declare in the summer in terms of switching from the 3 DPs, 3 U22s, but he's not sure if they will. Yeah, we'll see what happens there. Mike did not like that I said reward and when talking about 4 U22s.
Can't win. I love Mike. Mike, oh God. That's awesome.
Aaron comes in here and says, today is Wilfred Nancy's birthday for your information. So happy birthday to Wilfred. Gets a brand new DP number 10.
Do you think he ate do you think he had goulash for dinner tonight?
I don't know.
Happy birthday meal. Had a little goulash. Maybe they took him out to a restaurant.
No, what I want to know is what's that first interaction going to be like between Diego Rossi and Dániel Gazdag? Is Rossi going to go up to him and be like, hey, you remember 2022 MLS Cup? You remember that game? It's one way to welcome a new teammate into a new place. But yeah, I mean, I think Columbus, if you're a Columbus fan, you're happy getting a proven goal scorer in Dániel Gazdag, and I'll be curious to see how Wilfred Nancy fits him into that starting 11. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Columbus still go out in the summertime and bring in an actual number 9. But for the time being, I do think that, yeah, Wilfred Nancy works magic and he gets everybody playing to the best of their abilities. I mean, look at the players that he's taken as midfielders and turned them into center backs and wing backs. And yeah, it turns out well for whatever players wind up going to Columbus Crew. I mean, look at Christian Ramirez, right? Comes back into MLS from Scotland and plays well with Columbus Crew and winds up getting traded to LA Galaxy. And so, yeah, I think this is going to be a move that works out well for Dániel Gazdag and the Columbus Crew. But go ahead, Jose.
What number jersey does Gazdag get this time? He's not getting the 10.
16. Who has 16 on Columbus? Where's 16 for the national team? God. Gonna look it up while I try to stall for time. Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Definitely not 10 since Diego Rossi has it. What about 6? Anybody have 6? Darlington Nagbe's 6, isn't he? So wouldn't it be 6? 16 potentially. I would say if that's available, but
Taha Habroon.
So no 16, no 6, no 10. 99. Just give him 99.
He might buy it from him. Nagbe's at 6. 10 is Diego. Yeah, Daniel's got a jersey issue, and I don't know that he's making the type of money, or he might be. Obviously, it's not baseball or football money, American football money, but he can't buy a jersey number off of somebody, I don't think. Maybe off of the homegrown, that young guy, the guy with the number 16.
Just give him 99, dude. and call it a day.
Uh, what if he? Oh, what a flex would this be, Todd? If his jersey number is the amount of goals that he scored for 72. 72. Imagine that on the back of his jersey, roaming around Columbus as a fuck you to the team.
People in Columbus would be so confused, and only people in Philadelphia would know what that means.
That would be comical, though. Yeah, no, it just hit me. It's like Diego's not going to give up that number. There's no way, you know?
Yeah. You want to go over this exercise that we talked about earlier today, comparing Dániel Gazdag to other 10s?
Absolutely. Yeah. We sort of went back and forth on this. It's, I don't know, it's not scientific by any stretch of the imagination, but maybe it gives you an idea of, gives the watchers an idea of, sort of where Gazdag is in terms of other number 10s across the league, with appearances, goals and assists, or assists only, as well as salary wise. So if you want to pull it up and walk us through it, Todd, that'd be great.
I wish there was a way for me to zoom in better. Maybe there's. I mean, you can see it, right, Jose?
I can see it just fine.
You feel like you're lying.
No, I see it. I'm not lying.
What about now? Better?
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
All right, cool. Yeah, so Diego Rossi, Albert Ruzanek from Seattle, Ryan Gold from Vancouver, and Vander now with Cincinnati. Gazdag and then Carlos Gil are the 6 names that we came up with, or the 5 names if you don't include Dániel Gazdag. And again, we don't have the numbers out there for the 2025 salary guide. And again, hopefully by the end of April or the first couple of weeks of May, we get that information from the MLSPA. But just looking at the salaries there from last season's numbers, you have Diego Rossi making $3.3 million, Ruzanek making $2.2 million, Ryan Gold at $2.9 million, Evander on $2.3 million. That's why he wanted to be traded away from Portland, wanted a new contract, and I'll be curious to see what his numbers are at come the springtime. Gazdag making $1.7 million, and then Carlos Gil making $4.4 million for New England. But then when you look at their appearances in all competitions, you have Rossi at 48, you have Ruzanek at 42, Ryan Gold at 40, Evander at 32, Gazdag 41, Gil at 30, and then you start to look at the goals, and all of these players are goal scorers, minus Carlos Gil, more of a creative, more of a traditional number 10. Diego Rossi.
Injury as well last year, right? Injury as well last year, if I recall.
Yeah, I think you are right. I think he did miss a game against the Philadelphia Union at one point last season. But Diego Rossi, 21 goals, 8 assists. Ruzanek, 11 goals, 16 assists. Ryan Gold, 17 goals, 16 assists. Terrific numbers there. Evander, 15 goals, 18 assists, also great numbers. Dániel Gazdag, 19 goals, 7 assists, and then Carlos Gil, 7 goals, 9 assists. And so you have Ryan Gold and Evander tied for the most goals and assists last season, 33 each. All players on this list played over 3,000 minutes, minus Evander played 2,744 and Carlos Gil 2,544. But the reason we bring up these players is because you got to imagine, you talked about this at the beginning of the show, Jose, that Dániel Gazdag's probably going to want around $3 million, you heard. And there's no way the Union were going to feel comfortable paying that. Mikkel Uhre is at a little over $2 million, like 2.07 or something like that. I forget the exact number, but he's making over $2 million. And so Dániel Gazdag was asking to be the highest paid player for the Union. And there's no way that Ernst Tanner was going to do that. And I can't say I fault Dániel Gazdag for asking for that, because how can you when he's been productive the last few seasons? Since 2021, 72 goals in all competitions for the Union, a proven goal scorer. Teams need goal scorers. Teams want goal scorers. And so if I'm Dániel Gazdag, if I'm his agent, yeah, I'm pulling up these names that we have, the numbers that we just talked about. I think these are good players. These are probably players that they brought up to Ernst Tanner and said, hey, look, so-and-so is making this much. This is the production level. We believe we're in line with that. And now it's a matter of, does Ernst Tanner believe that Dániel Gazdag is worth that number? And the answer would seem to be no. That's why he's got traded away. But I understand why Daniel Gazdag is asking for $3 million a year. Is he worth it? Maybe not to everybody, but the goals speak for themselves. 19 goals last year is only the second highest. Only Diego Rossi scored 21 last year for Columbus Crew. And so, again, I can see why Daniel Gazdag would want a significant pay bump. And these players seem in line to what Daniel Gazdag would see himself as, right, Jose?
I would think so. And as you're talking, I am just vamp for 2 more seconds.
Yeah. So, I mean, sure, you could look at even more players and everything like that too, but and like the salaries too. The only salary that's like really out of left field is Carlos Gil's $4.4 million, and I understand why New England paid that because he's been one of the best creative number 10s in MLS, and yeah, he's getting older and whatnot. And like you had said, Jose, injury issues have been an issue for him, but again, I think that's a player that Daniel Gazlag's probably bringing up, but more so than not, everybody else, Diego Rossi, Albert Ruzanek, Ryan Gall, Evander, all very comparable in numbers that Daniel Gazdag put up last season with the Union. And again, Evander wanted out in Portland because he wanted a new contract. Cincinnati willing to give him that new contract, and it appears that Columbus were willing to give Daniel Gazdag the contract that he seems to be looking for.
Yeah, and while you were talking, the one thing we should have put on there here, Todd, is the age as well. So Diego is 27. Sorry, Albert is 30. Ryan is 29. 26 for Evander. 32 for Carles Gil. Which again goes to illustrate, Daniel is 29 going on 30. So like, is he? At the very least, you could argue 8 goals more than Albert, sure, behind in the assist department, but still very durable. So to me, it's just interesting. I think this is a good exercise to sort of illustrate, like, this is really good. This is really, really good company to be in, especially on the negotiating side. And it really came down to maybe what Ernst wanted. Again, I don't talk to the man. I wish I did. Like, I have no idea, but like, he gets presented with this. I'm sure Ernst has a number in his head of like, this is as much and that's it. And like, it just wasn't meant to be. So they went to the next best option, which was to move him for whatever the fee is that they'll probably announce tomorrow or in the coming days.
Yeah, absolutely. Where's the comment? I mean, so many comments. Union.
I see the one comment I wanna sort of mention though. Someone had mentioned, I forget who, it was like, just pull the option. It's like, yes, I need to ask more players about this. And maybe I'll text Amobi later, Tesho, and I was just texting Michael Lahoud as well. But like, how would they feel if they tried to negotiate with their club? The club did not want to even, I don't know. The negotiations did not go the way of the number that they were thinking. It was just, there was an impasse or something like that. How would they feel if their club went ahead and pulled the option against their will? Right.
Mike's comment?
Yeah. Thank you. It was Mike. I want to know what players think. It's easy, Mike, for you as a fan to say that. It would be easier for Todd and I to say that as press. But like, what is the actual reality of that for a Daniel Gazdag or some of these, Jack Elliott, right? Like, what is what is the actual feeling behind that? Would they be disgruntled? Would they even want to be there? You don't want to have a player that doesn't want to be there. That doesn't help anybody, right? So maybe it becomes a Lucho situation, right, where he was genuinely holding out until he got traded. So and obviously, yeah, actually that would be an option, and nobody wants that and force the hand, and just, it's a bad look all around. So yeah, it's easier to say option, but the reality is it's probably far more complex than that.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of comments, Mike. A lot of comments, and of course we're going to pull them up. But Mike also said, I'm still trying to reconcile. We aren't interested in competing in 2025 and 2026. We're worried about salary hits in 2027 with this convo. Who said the Union aren't going to compete? I didn't say that. The Union still have a competitive team. I don't think anybody in that front office, I don't think Bradley Cornell is throwing in the towel saying, yeah, we're not going to compete. Season over. We just traded away Dániel Gazdag. No. No. I don't think anybody's saying that. I said, I don't believe the Union would trade away Dániel Gazdag without having a replacement lined up. And then he brings up a comment, Mike, that is, saying that we honestly think relying on Indy and Rafa platoon is feasible. You find yourselves in third place 7 games in, and now you cut yourself off at the knees. You have people in this fan base that are complaining, saying that they don't think that Gazdag's been productive enough. 2 goals, 2 assists in 6 matches this season. There's people in this fan base that have been saying they don't think that Dániel Gazdag fit the style of play that the Union want to play. And if you get an offer that's too good to turn down, then why would you hold on to that player? Why would you hold on to the player that's maybe not living up to your expectations? If it's an offer that's too good, there's nobody on this roster minus Bruno Damiani, in my opinion, because you just signed him, that's untouchable. Anybody else I would listen to offers for. And that's just the way that soccer works. Do you think that, if somebody came with an astronomical fee for, it doesn't matter, whatever player you want to put in there, a team want to listen? Of course, all teams are going to listen to all players, in my opinion. And I do think that the Union are still going for it. Okay, for the time being, so what if you have to roll with Indiana Vassilev? Indiana Vassilev knows the style of play, knows the system. Bradley Cornell clearly trusts him. Quinn Sullivan's having a pretty good year for the Union. I know I said last episode that he's been too inconsistent for my liking, but 3 assists, 4 assists on the season. Bruno Damiani's had plenty of chances. Yes, the goals aren't there, but I do believe the Union keep creating chances, which Dániel Gazdag hasn't been a player that's creating those chances. You're going to get goals from other places. Who would have thought that Jovan Lukic would have had 2 goals? Who would have thought that he would have scored a goal? Right? And so this team, I do believe, is going to get goals from other places, other ways. They're one of the best teams in MLS on set pieces. And so what if you don't get a goal from open play? You have other ways, other avenues how to get goals. And so, no, I don't think that the Union are punting on the season 7 games into the season. Absolutely not. Jose, any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I would add, and you said it, is like, they sort of buckled and completely gone against the grain of Bradley Cornell 60-30-10, I think, as I'm thinking of the goals that they've scored this season, right? The set play, whatever, the what he told us during the press conference. So like, I do genuinely believe that what I heard is true in terms of a short list immediately ready to sort of go and go after. Will it get done? And they always have lists, to be completely honest with you. They always have a list. But can they complete something by the 23rd? I'm not sure. Can they complete something in the summer? Certainly, leading into the summer.
April 23rd is when the transfer window closes. The Union still have plenty of time to get something done. Yeah.
The one thing that is to their advantage is that they're not playing in as many competitions.
May gets a little bit hectic though. Potentially 9 games.
Yeah, but they're not playing in Leagues Cup. They have fewer games overall than last year. If anything, they just got through a little brunt of it. These first 7 games, and now they're going into a busier period. But again, I'm not here to make excuses for them. I'm just impartial, just flat out thinking as seeing the numbers. Like, again, you have a player who might genuinely walk on a free because they couldn't come to an agreement. Get a figure that helps you, whether they spend it all in the next player or not. That's not for me to decide. It just, again, looking at numbers and cents and like looking at it that way, like this does make sense. And I know it's not an easy thing to listen to for fans. And I get that.
I agree with Mike. Gazdag's the one player that we have absolutely no one to place him with. We can't compete without placing him right away. I would say the one player that the Union don't have anybody to place is Kai Wagner. I mean, yeah, defensively, Nathan Harriel and Frankie Westfield are solid, but they don't offer you the offensive production. I think this is a worst case scenario if it's a Kai Wagner the Union are trading away. And how many windows did we go into hearing, oh, Kai Wagner's linked to this club, Kai Wagner's going to leave, and he still winds up being here. I do believe the Union for the short term have players that can fill in for Dániel Gazdag. And unfortunately, maybe fortunately for some, I do think that Kevin Sullivan will see a significant amount of minutes. But I do think that the time being that Indy Vasilov, that's going to be a starting role. And I do think that the Union will be able to see a productive Indy Vasilov. I've liked what I've seen from him coming off the bench. Jeremy Raffanello, like I said, maybe now we start seeing him on the bench a little bit more. But this team had a ton of midfielders. And again, I'll keep hitting this nail home. April 23rd. And so you play one game a week up until April 23rd. You still have plenty of time to get something done. And so what? If the Union don't get anything done until April 23rd, then you have the summer window. You just have to survive through that hectic May schedule. And then before you know it, July's here. So I'm not concerned. And everybody in this league makes the playoffs. And is it a big deal if the Union don't finish in a top 4 spot? I don't think so. Look what Atlanta United did last season. When 62% of your league makes the playoffs, just make the playoffs. That's all you got to do. Man, anything else, Jose, you want to hit on? Oh, yeah, we got to do this. People are entertaining the rumors. What were your feelings on KDP's rumors trades? I thought Miami had some sort of claim for him. That can't be right. No, the Union aren't signing Kevin De Bruyne. No. Don't believe any of that. Come on.
But don't get that on a shirt. Bad investment.
Then Jared said at the beginning of the show, what about Thomas Mueller? No. They're too old. They don't fit the mold of what Ernst Tanner wants to do.
No.
They don't fit the pressing style.
No, don't fall for that. Do not fall for that. What's up, Ali? Yeah. No, nothing. Yeah, Mandy, let us have our dreams. I'm here to crush them. I'm a dream eater. No, if I was looking for the next player, it would be a U22 player that they can pay, take a lower salary hit, and make them a project for the next 3-4 years. We're press and fans are finally getting to see how good Oluwetu Makanya was, and I still need to make my public apology to the man and have someone present it to him, so it's sure that he sees it for how much I trashed the fact that he was making that much money. Though it's sort of justified, but another U22 player, like, that would be fantastic. Like, that would be incredible. And yes, Mike, like, we get it, man. Like, they're not untouchable. They are. Everybody right now is in such a spot. I mean, I just looked over to my screen and watched LAFC get bounced out by Miami, and those are obviously with some of the bigger ones. Yeah, hey, let's get young Ali. Where is he? Go on, Todd. I'm gonna send him to the link.
All right, cool. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man. We had started before we did this podcast. We said 30 minutes, and now we're an hour and 3 minutes in. But yeah, I mean, we keep rolling live, because right? you guys keep coming into the show with your comments. Everybody keeps popping on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, and so we appreciate the comments. That was quick. That was very, very quick for Ali to come in here. How you doing?
Oh, he's in.
Hello.
What's up, my brother?
I missed this whole entire thing. Wait, I'm really bright.
Maybe the Union can go ahead and make a move to get Chiesa from Liverpool, since we're just throwing names out there.
Since we're just, saying whatever names of slightly old players that might be on their last legs, Chiesa would be fantastic, obviously, but there is a reason we wouldn't get him. Have you guys talked about the possibility of using the Gazdag sort of salary in cash and all the finances we're saving / are getting from him on buying like a really top quality center back?
We didn't talk about the center back, but we did talk about saving money, and we got absolutely bashed. Like, it's the worst thing ever, saving money and investing it in other places. Center back could be interesting. I don't think that's where they're going to go.
What happened? Jose?
Phillies.
Home run. Trey Turner.
Oh,
let's
Phillies.
fucking go.
I saw Matt DeGeorge put out on Blue Sky today that Jan's out for 6 to 8 weeks. So
that's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad. So I mean, I don't think that you potentially need a center back if that is
Honestly,
the case. And we'll see what Bradley Cornell says. I expect him not to say much tomorrow at his press conference.
I mean, we really need like some sort of clarity on how long Jan's going to be out for. But I was saying that with the premise that Jan might be out for most of the season at least. So if it's 6 weeks, that changes things a little bit. I still do think we need, because you have Jan, slightly unproven, Glesnes, not the Glesnes of 2022 anymore. Mahania, unproven, and Neil Pierre, 17 years old. In my mind, a leading center back that can cover lots of space very quickly and is tall and good on set pieces. I don't know what that name might be, but given the cash we're going to get on Gazdag, since it's a cash trade, I think that gives us a bit of room to really go properly full on at center back, because it's our weakest position. Probably left back as well. But Kai Wagner's just been like so reliable that he doesn't miss much soccer. Maybe get a backup left back as well, but
Jose,
yeah.
I've spoken so much. That's why.
No, I see the idea of a center back. I see the idea of a left back. I can think of domestic players right now that maybe are looking for an exit. I don't know anything, but maybe are looking for an exit. They've been exiled. Maybe one of them's wearing pink right now, right? Looking for a new fresh start.
Noah Allen.
It seems like Javier Mascherano loves him down in Miami.
Yeah, he's a big fan.
Playing a left back as a center back.
So, I love Noah Allen, by the way. If he goes to Philly,
I believe you. I do think that could be a possibility, but I also wonder if there's the idea of a player for player type of thing. But then again, it's a ticking clock with Cavan onto when his exit is, and how do you fast track him getting involved? Like, I can't imagine that he's traveling now more than ever. I can't imagine that he's traveling with the youth teams to GA Cup. He's certainly graduated from that level. He's not doing that. Yeah. So it's a center back idea is interesting. I maybe lean more towards trying to do a leg for leg replacement. In some way, shape, or form, that is dealing with the midfield and the attacking side. Because then also you have Neil, and how do you start plugging him in? He looked really good against. There you go, Liam. He looked very, very good against Huntsville. But then again, that's MLS Next Pro. I wish that the Union 2 would have aired their game against Rhode Island FC. I want to see Neil against USL men. I don't want to see him play against MLS Next Pro talent anymore. I want to see him move on and try this. And sure, he did very well at the international camp as well. I didn't get to watch that game, but I got a report from somebody within US Soccer that he did very, very well. And that confidence is translated now. And we'll see how he does tomorrow against Atlanta United 2.
All right.
Got to classify it too. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, and then you have some people in the fan base that think that Jay Sugarman's just going to sit on the whatever fee is for Dániel Gazdag. So
no, I find it hard to believe that he's not going to invest it somehow in this window.
Yeah, I mean, they have plenty of time. Center back's interesting though, but yeah, I mean, I think they can survive for the time being. It'll be interesting because Jacob Glesnes, if I'm not mistaken, is out of contract after this season, and when you're paying a center back over $1 million and you're getting the productivity you out of Jacob Glesnes,
he's not renewing.
Yeah. There's no way they bring back
1,000%.
And same with Mikael Uhre. His contract's up after this year, making $2 million.
1,000% renewing as well.
But again, bringing up the contracts that are out, and you know that the future looks bright for the Union investing back into the squad. It's not good to say. Can't say those things around here to some people.
Yeah, man.
Can't be positive.
That might have been a statement you could say for me in the summer. Yeah, I think I would love to see us get a proper center back, even if they are on the younger side and you're building them up to replace Glesnes. So sad though. Like you think about that, the Eastern Conference Final 2022. All of the players involved in every goal are now out. Carranza, Gazdag, Burke, McLean, all of them gone. So sad.
On that note, quick plug. I believe I'll be having an interview with Corey Burke. I'm going to hear about his time in Lexington soccer club right now. So more to come on that front. And Ali, thank you so much for hopping on with us. We're going to keep the show moving. It's center back is definitely something that they need. It's an option. I wonder with the way that the season's going, do they go ahead and just do a like for like sort of a swap, right? And who that player is, I don't know. I'm trying my hardest, but it'll be really interesting to see what they bring. I don't believe for a second just yet that a CJ Olney or that David Vasquez is ready for this type of level. I think all of us would enjoy being proven wrong, but I just don't see how that happens ahead of Cavan at this point.
I just had a thought, Jose. We've seen it once this season. Let's do it a second time this weekend against New York City, and let's see Nathan Harriel play as the second number 10.
Someone joked with me that Nate played so well as an attacking mid that they felt good about selling Gazdag. It's like I said, you little shit. I don't believe that for a second. They're like, no, absolutely not. So yeah, that's so funny, man.
Wow. I mean, who would have thought Nathan Harriel, the new and upcoming number 10 in the 2025 Philadelphia Union season. But yeah, again, I mean, people can say what they want, right? That we're shills, we're too optimistic for this team, but I don't know. You and I both know they have too many good people working for this club that are really good at their jobs, and time again, they've proven that they know what they're doing in their jobs. And so I have all the faith, all the trust in this front office, even though some people don't. Kyle says Julian Gressel's not getting any playing time in Miami. I saw somebody else say that on social media, and I don't know.
Very true.
It would make Kai Wagner happy to bring his buddy here. Really good friends. I don't know if you knew that. Apparently they love each other.
I figured that much like South Americans, Germans are like magnets, attract each other.
I'm trying to think. Any other veteran center backs? Can Aurelian Collins still play? Is he still fit? I know he's coaching with Houston. Yeah.
Yeah, he's coaching Jack McGlynn right now.
Maybe hit up Jack McGlynn. Somebody ask Jack and ask if Aurelian Collins playing in practice with Houston. Maybe Colin has one more season in him for the Union.
I was so disappointed when I was in Seattle. I had hoped to talk with Jack, and I even had put in the request through the Houston PR, and of course he gets called in last minute as a replacement for the national team over that window. It's such a bummer.
I mean, we're talking about Miami players now, and the show is definitely coming to an end. I feel like we're running out of energy. Miami says she mentions Robert Taylor. That would be a player that I would be potentially interested in. Let's see how much money he was making last year. He was making $326,000. But he's a winger.
Was very complimentary of him in a very like sideways way of like, yeah, he's taking the opportunities, but he's got a lot of competition. I don't know. It was like such an odd way he answered the question.
Yeah, he's losing minutes to Fafa Pico.
No, that's when the game's gone. Got to move on somewhere else. And and even in talking today with Ryan Richter during his time ahead of the Union 2 match tomorrow, I'm more convinced than ever that
Ryan Richter can still play.
No, maybe I'm sure he can ball in the adult leagues. I'd be scared to take a tackle from him. But players just need to find that all these players, there's a place for everybody. And I'm just wondering where Gressel's place will be. Again, I'm not hinting or insinuating anything. It's not a blink if that's what it is type of thing. It's just genuine. He's a player that, man, with Tata Martino, he was in every single week, obviously, and now with Javier Mascherano, it's a completely different thing. So I don't know what the answer is, but I hope he finds a spot. He is way too talented to be just rotting on the bench of Miami over South America FC over there.
But at the same time, when you're getting paid over $1 million, not a bad gig living in Fort Lauderdale, getting paid over $1 million. So not a bad gig, but if I remember correctly, Gressel's always said that he wants to live on the East Coast. Whatever club he plays for, it has to be on the East Coast because of his family. So, I mean, Philadelphia checks that box, but again, I don't know if the Union would feel comfortable paying a salary of that high for Julian Gressel. But the Union do have options, and hopefully, like we said, that number comes out tomorrow, how much the Union got from Columbus Crew, and hopefully we can see what the Union do with that money. I have faith, and hopefully you guys too. Hopefully Jose and I convince you guys to stay optimistic. And yeah, it sucks losing your club's all-time leading goal scorer, but look, it sucked losing Julian Kranza. It sucked losing Jose Martinez, and you can't keep the core group of the team around for forever. Teams have life cycles, and yeah, it sucks. 7 games into the season, you move on from Dániel Gazdag, but there's just no way that this team's saying, yeah, we're giving up. And yeah, it may appear that they're waving the white flag saying they quit, but Philly Rivers canceled my New York City trip. Well, Jose and I did not. We're still going up there. I know he's joking, but yeah, I mean, I'm optimistic. I think that this club, they've proven that, look, Jovan, Danley, Jan, these players have hit the last couple of transfer windows. Bruno Damiani, I think he's going to be a stud. I just hope wherever the Union go, they continue to hit up South America because that's where the majority of the bowlers are at. But regardless, Ernst Tanner has a wide network of contacts. And like you had said, Jose, you wouldn't be surprised if they had submitted some names or whatnot. So I'd be shocked too if the Union moved on from Gazdag without having a potential replacement or replacements lined up. Maybe it's Caden Clark, like somebody had dropped. But Jose, thank you so much for hopping on. Everybody in the comment section, 834 people live, going strong. Let these fine people know where they can follow you on social media.
Yeah, of course. And just to plug in, yes, Todd and I will be at NYCFC this weekend, so expect some content out of there. We'll see what MLS wants me to write about. I always hope that it's Union related. The storyline is sort of shaping itself already, right? Like first game post Gazdag, Union, whatever. Corey Burke interview coming, scheduled as of right now. It's just figuring out what I want to ask and whatnot. So if you are on Twitter or Blue Sky, feel free to send me a message with some thoughts or ideas that you may want to listen about or hear about. And then tomorrow, please, if you can, tune in, watch Leon Flock. He goes against Cucho Hernandez in Real Betis in the Europa League tomorrow, or is it the conference?
Conference.
Yeah, it's the conference. Okay, one of the conference games tomorrow at 3 p.m. So Leon already won trophy in his cabinet from his time in Poland. Jose Martinez as well, now in Brazil with Corinthians. So continue to support these Union guys. It's really exciting to watch them. And yeah, thank you so much for having me on, Todd. I hope that this was a successful hour and 20 minutes with me on a Wednesday night.
Yeah, on a Wednesday night. And if you guys aren't following the podcast on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, follow at Free Kick Pod, wherever you get your podcast, The Free Kick. Check out the YouTube channel live, every single podcast on YouTube, youtube.com/Free Kick Pod, wherever you get your podcast, The Free Kick. And check out the Substack for my writing, podcast, and goals breakdown videos all in one place, thefreekick.substack.com. Mike Thomas, thanks, guys. Yeah, Mike, thanks for popping up and having your thoughts out there and having a good conversation. And we don't expect to change everybody's mind, and if we change one person's mind, then that's great and everything, but just trying to bring a different angle to the the fire pit that social media is whenever bad news like this comes out and everything. And so, yeah, Jose and I, we may not agree on everything, but I do think that we have two of the same mind in terms of, being happy with the way that this team is going, the people they have in charge in this organization, and knowing how to do their jobs well. And so on that, we agree, and let's just see what the Union do. So again, April 23rd, the window closes, and no Leagues Cup, everybody's most hated tournament. That's positive, right? I think everybody can agree on that. So one less competition for the Union to compete in. But again, all you guys in the comment section on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, you guys are the best. Thank you guys all night for keeping us entertained with your questions, your thoughts, and just interacting with each other. So with that said, go Phillies. My name is Todd.
Phillies victory.
And this
Phillies
is
victory. Let's go.
the Free Kick Podcast.